All right, team. So today we're going to style the activity feed. So we're going to create all the components and render out the different views depending on the activity item subject. So, and also the event type. So if it's a project was created or a post was created or maybe a part or an image was added to a project, we're going to style different things. So let's jump in and see what we're going to build. So this is the end result that we're going to achieve. We've got new part added, new image added, another image, new post with no likes or comments yet, a new project, and here's a post with no likes but a comment. All these things click through. And also when you delete an image or a part, these things will clear out. So let's jump into it. All right, team, so today we are going to set up the activity item component so that we can render out a post, what it looks like when a post is created, what it looks like when a project is created, and we're going to give these slightly different looks. So continuing on from last time, where we're just rendering out the text here, we're now going to work through what it looks like for each one of these things. So let's have a look at what payload we're getting into our props to begin with. So let's work with the project. Let's work on the project created today. So opening up the inspect console, if we, got a few issues here. Let's reload this. Okay. We can see we're getting in the activity item as a prop. So now if we just set this here and we're going to say import type activity, it's activity item from Prisma client. That's what we're going to get in here. All right, so we put that there. Sanity check ourselves. So what are we getting? We've got a lot of console logs here. So what I'm going to do is just clean it up where we got them. So get rid of this. This is also going to follow the same const theme. So we'll grab that from here. So we have it. Okay, so that's for the this is for the post, and I might even do post.created just so we know where that's coming from, and this will be projects. Okay. So let's see what we have here. So post created and project created are both getting undefined. There we go. So we've got that. That's interesting. We're getting a prop here. So where's that coming from? Let's see where we're getting that console log from. That's the array of activity items, which is there. So that's cool. So we'll get rid of that. Then we're looping through, we're passing through activity item into activity item component. And then we're rendering out the component. Now, where are you come from? Use activity item. Okay. So if we open up that hook, use activity item. Okay, so we're not actually returning this out. Now, what I'm almost wondering is that do we even need this top level hook at this stage? We might not. So I might just leave that in there. So that's just coming through. So at the moment, all we're doing is passing through the activity item. Right. So realistically, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pass through activity item here. I'm going to get rid of this hook for now because I don't think we need it. So we'll get rid of that. And then we won't import it for now. We don't need this flex. Just tidying up. I'm just trying to tidy up the workspace for us just so we don't have to worry about it. And I'm going to delete this hook. We'll reset it up. And I'm sure I'm going to regret that move there, but we will deal with that later. So now we go. Here we go. So post created, projects created. So we're just getting the activity item in. But now because we know we're inside of a project created, so that matches the event type here. So we know we're dealing with a project. So now what we can do is we can actually set up inside of this component. We're going to use trpc to fetch the data that we need in this component itself. So to do that, let's grab our trpc. So we need to grab an instance from the utils. And that's going to be used here. So we're going to import trpc. And now we're going to go and fetch our data. So to do this, we're going to say const project query, well, not this, query is equal to trpc.project get project by ID. Okay, because that's what we're going to get through here. So let's just double check our payload again inside the window. You can see that we get the subject type project and then the subject ID, and that's the actual ID of the model. So we're going to use this use query here. And then we're going to look for the ID is equal to the activity item. So it's not data. So let's just tidy this up here so we can destructure activity item, and we're going to need to grab from that, it's the subject ID is what we're after. Right, so we know because the subject type is a project, the subject ID will be the project ID. All right, so to start here, let's grab this. So we're going to go const data is equal to the project, and we have the project query. Now what we're going to do is we'll just log, we don't need this anymore, we can just log the project. And let's see what we're getting back. So here's our project now. So now this, we can see that this activity is for the 1993 Toyota Hilux, and it was created. All right. And then we're getting all the other data. We're getting the user, etc. Now what we have to do is we have to actually decide how does this thing look? Or how does this activity look? Because then from there, we can then decide what data we need to actually implement it. So I think what we can do is jump into Facebook and have a look. A couple other places we want to look at is like things like Twitter. Oh, and another one that we really saw the like is Dev2, which is quite cool. So this is kind of like what the posts look like. Right? So, I mean, I actually really like this design. So let's build something like this. So to begin, we've got our flex. What we also want to see is in the app, how are we bumping things out? So we usually just have a tile like this. If we jump into the build, how are we differentiating from a post? So we don't really, I mean, we could put it inside the gray box with the outline, sorry. So let's try this. So we go border width, 1 pixel. We're going to say border radius, that's going to be large. And then we're going to just hit some padding on that. And we're going to have padding of 4. Let's see what we're getting. So that's what a post looks like now. So that's all right. So let's do this user who created it. So this will be, and I think this will be a component. We'll create this inside of the activity item, and this will be the activity owner. All right. So this will be activity owner. All right. So we'll create a new file inside there. Component, and then in here we're going to go activity owner. Now this will be generally is going to be a user, but remembering that we made this table polymorphic, meaning that it could be a user, but it could also be a system, or it could be another entity. This owner type and ID can be variable. but most of the time it's going to be of type user. So what we can do here is we're going to assume when you're using activity owner, you're going to pass through the entity type. And then we will add to this as over time as we decide or add more users, owner types, sorry. So we're going to grab this. So we're going to say basically what activity owner will do is like if user, then return the user component. And here will be the user component, right? And then if otherwise, we'll just return null because it's an unsupported type at this stage. Okay, so what does this look like? This looks like a flex box that runs here. And then inside of this, we'll have the user image that we set up, right? So the user image is a component we set up previously. And that takes in a user object. And what's this complaining about? Because this needs the user images object. So it's user with image. So let's just find where we use user image. And just see how we're defining it. Where are you? User with image. Okay. So I'm going to create that type. Don't need this type. We need Prisma now. So we'll just import Prisma. And then this will now be user with image. Okay. Cool. So now we have that, the user with image. Then we're also going to add another flex box here. And this will be for the name of the user. And this will be running in direction column. And then we'll have text. And this will be username. All right. So that'll be there. And then we'll import text. And then what we're going to do here is we will import activity owner. So let's do import activity owner. And that's going to live right here. Okay. And this is expecting a user. So let's just have a quick, I'm just going to comment that out so we don't get a crash. So if we now look here, we go, do we have the user? So you can see we've got the project user here, and it's the user right here. And does that include the images? Does. Okay. So what we can do now is we can say that the user is equal to project dot project users dot there. Wait, no. 0 dot user, right? That's our user. So then we can say user goes in here. All right. What are you saying? Undefined. Yeah, that's cool. So what I might just do here is just go user with image or undefined. Because it is possible that user is undefined. You know what? And even better, just let's make it optional. Because then we're checking if it's here. And that should clean up that. Cool. No more warnings. There we go. So now we got old mate there and the username. Okay. So we're on our way. Cool. So now that we've got that, let's tidy up this a little bit. So we're going to give a little bit of margin here. So we're going to go margin left equals 2. All right. And then let's just see, do we need to drop? We probably need to drop this a little bit. Drop the sizing of everything. So we'll go here. Font size equals medium, possibly. Not medium, small. Small, okay. All right, and we can also, because we have the user, we can just say this will be user dot name. Okay, awesome. So what else do they have here? They have the date. I wonder if we want to link this to the user profile. So what we can do there is add a link in here, right? So we're going to go link, and then this will be href, and then we just have to work out what is the public profile of a user. So we can do that by going here, and then down the bottom, so it's just users/username. So it's users/user.username, and that's the link to the user's page. So let's see what that looks like. Can grief. And we should probably also, just to keep consistency here, we probably want to do font weight of bold. Keep that consistent with the rest of the page. Yep. And then underneath here, we're going to add a text, and this will just be, I'm going to just add in the date, 14 June 2023 at 3:04 p.m. Done. Cool. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drop this font size a little bit as well, make it extra small, and possibly make the color gray. So we're going to go color equals gray 400, maybe 500. Cool. So this activity happened there, boom. All right. Now, the next thing, for a new build, I think what we want to do is we just want to render this full picture like this. All right, so we will say, so this one, so they just have the title of the post, but what we want to do here is we want to say big picture of the build. So that's the project image. So quickly, what I'll also do here is activity. We need to set the activity date before we move on. And this is just going to be a string. Formatted date. I might just call it formatted date, because then that makes more sense to be a string. So formatted date. And then we're going to just go formatted date. Whoa, what happened there? Formatted date. All right. So that's that. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to set activity owner, and formatted date comes in here. So for now, I'm just going to, this will be project dot created at. I'm just going to do that for now. And what are you complaining about is undefined. So that's, yeah, again, that could be nothing. And then what I'll do here is I'll just say if formatted date, then we render this piece, which we should always have, realistically. So let's look, what is you saying now? Oh, this is an actual date object. Okay, so we need to say to locale. Yeah. All right, so we're going to say created at sweet, there we go. To locale, I think it's date time would be better here. What is it called? Locale time string. Yep. What we want to do, let's use this. That'll give us what we used to. Line too long. Yeah, great. Let's just push that down. I might even just break it here on options. Okay, let's see, 12th June. So we do need the hour and the minute. All right, let's see if that works. Perfect. That's really cool, actually. It even added in the at for us. 12 June 23 at 1:40. Perfect. Then what we'll do, okay, so this is the project created. We're passing in that. We've got the activity owner component running. Love it. Now, we've got the activity item component, which we don't need right now. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to close this. Okay, so what do we want to do here? We want to actually show off the project image. So let's see. Project tile. So what does this need? This has, where do we use this thing? So it's project tile. I think this is what we use across the app. Yeah. So we've got this here. So this is what we need for a project tile. So it's quite simple. So we can just use this in here. So what we'll do is we will, I wonder if we, under the activity owner, sorry, we need to have a, do we need anything else, or we can just give space? Maybe we can just give spacing. So we're going to go project tile here. So we're going to import that component. All right, so we've got that. And now we've got the project. Undefined is not assignment for project. Yep, that makes sense. But we'll just pass this in here, and then we're just going to say project and all right. So if we have the project, we'll render it. Okay, there we go. We got our project. Now, what we need to do is run this flex direction column, so that runs vertically. All right. So we've got our thing. So you can actually see here, it looks a bit strange having the box and then padding and then another box inside. So what we'll do here is we'll get rid of this, and we'll just, the box for the activity will be nothing. And then inside of that, we can control what happens. So that looks pretty cool. So this is a new build added. So what I want to see is, do we need to have some sort of text that says the new build was added, or is it clear to see that? So I'll have a look here. We want to actually give I wonder if this project tile supports the ability for us to pass in a margin top. Let's just see, box props. Yep, there we go. So we've made it flexible. So box props, and then we're going to say margin top of 4. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. So giving a little bit of spacing between here and here. And now you can see there's a project that's been created. Now when you click on that, it takes you straight through to the project. All right. Now you can see that this is a, we get this old chestnut. Text content did not match. Server rendered HTML. Yeah, good on ya. Always have that problem. How do we fix that? The locale. Is that how we do it? Yeah, okay, now they match. The server matches the local. So that's cool. All right, so that's the project creation. So I'm just gonna have a double check and look if we can see anything in the design that we want to add here or change, or maybe like put the action type, like new project added, and then show this. So I'll be right back. All right, so the first thing that I've noticed here is we've created an activity when the project's initially created, which is fine, But the problem with it is we're not going to have any details. So someone could have just created this and you're going to end up with like a whole bunch of feed items with nothing in it. And that's not really adding any value to the site. So what we're going to have to do, just to fix that quickly, is inside of our router, so it's TRPC in the router, we're going to look at projects, and then we're going to look for the create activity item. Right, we're going to actually remove it from here. What we want to do is only trigger this when the project's published. So when you add your build initially, there is nowhere to choose publish until you actually edit. So if we look and jump into this one, your unpublished build, you land in a page like this. You then have to hit publish. So the first thing we require is an image. Once you've added an image, you can then publish a build. So let's just look for publish here. Do we have a method? Public project ID. Okay, so this is the place where we want to actually log this now. Okay, so let's open this up and bring it in here. So, and then we're going to, so this will be const project equals, and this is in a wait. And then I'm just going to indent this to make it read properly. And then we're going to return the project as per normal. But then in here, we're going to create the activity. So I can already see here, the event type projects created doesn't really make sense. What this is projects published. Okay. So what that means is wherever we're using this event type projects created, right, we want to now update that to published. So be project published. Okay. And then in here, it'll be projects published. All right. So let's just go and fix that up. So in here, this will be project published. And then let's rename this guy to project published. Okay. Now, project published, you should be fine, Chief. Project published, project published, project published. You should be all good. So let's just have a look. Components.project published. What are you talking about, mate? Okay, well anyway, that looks to be fine. Let's just double check what's going on here. We've still got this. Okay, so now what we just have to do is, so now you can see that activity that we've got in the system, post created, that doesn't have a component, so it's not rendering it. So now what we can do is we can say, okay, cool, we understand that, that's all fine. We will upload a photo to this build and we will then publish it. Okay, so we're just going to upload a photo. We just found one. So downloads. There we go. Put that up. Sweet, so we've got an image. We can now publish this project. And now just double checking before we do so that we have our activity ready to go. So let's open up the DB as well. And just double check that everything happens. So we hit publish and something should happen. Did we just find a little bug? Data is not iterable. So there's a bug there actually. Looks like you can't publish projects. We'll need to look at that eventually. But now we've published this project and we now have an activity. Now we should see when we refresh this page, there we go, we're on. So we're going to add text between the user and the pictures. We've decided to do there. And now you can see, so this is Ken Grief, and we're going to say, make model was published. So let's do that. So in here, we're going to have text. We're going to say a new, and it'll be 1993 Toyota Hilux has been published. All right, so it'll be something like that. So we'll grab that, chuck that there. Now we need to just give some breathing room there. So we'll go margin top 4 as well to match the bottom. All right. So that looks pretty cool. I'm just wondering what we have to do to pump up this text a little bit if we need to. But what we're doing here is we're just kind of copying the big lads with how they do it, just with the text between the user and the picture. So I guess what we could say is view build, and we could add the link again to the build. So this will be a link. So we're going to go href, and I'm just going to do this for now. I'm going to say view the build. And what we'll do here is we'll say view the full details of the build. And this will be, again, we'll do font weight bold. Yep, the line length's too long. Getcha. That almost looks funny just with so much writing. View the full details of the build. Maybe we can just say view build details. Actually, I'm not really sure about that, to be honest, but anyway, let's just leave it like that for now. Now, what does this href look like? It looks like, so this will be project slug. All right, view build details. And when you click on that, it takes you to the build. All right, so there's our first activity. So that's for when we publish a project. So that's it. So that's pretty cool. I think that looks pretty nice. The only thing that I don't like here is just this, how close the header is there. So what we'll do is move something. I've also just noticed we need to remove this suspense block because we don't use it. So inside of our pages, we have the activity page. We just need to give some margin top. Maybe let's just go margin Y, just so we get some breathing room between here and here. Okay, cool. So I'm actually going to change this to view build. It's too much. It even looks like it needs a space. View build. Sweet. So that's it. That's what a published project activity looks like. Okay, let's move on to the post created activity. So it's going to be very similar. So we're going to copy our base here. And then we can almost see that there might even be a requirement now, because we're going to create multiple of these they're all going to have a similar format. So they're all going to look, username thing, and then the body, and then the content. So let's create a activity container component. So we're going to go activity container index. All right. Create a new component, and this will be the holder. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to pull out some of this work because we don't want to have to keep redefining this every time. So we'll have the activity owner here. And what else are we passing to this? So what are we going to need? We're going to need the formatted date and the user as props. So I can grab that from activity owner. So we need these two things. Where are you? Activity container here. So we get that formatted date, user, and then what we're going to have is children. I'm even thinking, no, that's all right. I was thinking we could possibly make activity owner a component of this, and we can pass it in. I think we might actually do that. When we do the children, because then realistically all we need to do is, so what I'm thinking here is we could just have children, but then all this is a flex container. But we can do, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to say activity container dot activity owner is equal to this, right? And we can even just cast that to there. We're going to have children come in, which is a children, and that's a React node. Then we're not going to have this anymore. The only thing that we could do here differently is, I reckon we pass in the date. So we always format these the same. I'm just going to make a couple of changes here to make this a bit more flexible. So here we're going to just say created date. And this is just a date object. And then what we're going to do is we're going to format that inside our component. All right. That way we do all the formatting and it'll always be the same. Now we just pass in a date. So we're going to just say created date, and that's going to just be this now. All right. So what's broken here? And it looks all good. So this, now we got double children, which is strange. Now instead of this being hard coded or fixed here, I think actually let's leave it there, because otherwise we're going to just be, let's see. So what we could have is we'll get this in here. So it'll be activity container. So at the moment we would be doing something like this. All right, so we got this, and then we're going to pass in our text and then our tar, and that would be our children, right? This is complaining because there's no. All right, so this is what we'd be doing now. So there's an option here where we pass the date through this way, where we go created date, and then we also do the user through here. So we have that option, or we have the option of passing through activity container.owner, and then you now have access to pass these props in, so you have more control. We don't have to prop drill, basically. So this is one option here. All right. So I'm thinking what we could even do, and I wouldn't even mind having like activity container dot body or text, and then passing this through, because then we can also define this here. So I might do that, and we can even bring that component in because it is a nested child here. So this disappears. We no longer have to pass these props in. It makes everything simpler. So I'm going to pull this component into here, and now we'll get it straight through here. And then also what we're going to have is activity text. Component. All right, and that just takes children. And then what does that do? That wraps, it just wraps everything in this. And that just makes sure we maintain our margin on top. Okay, that text there. Okay, so that's activity text. And then what we're going to do is we're going to import that into this component, and it'll become a property on here. And now we have access to that. And that can go. All right, and then this can all go. Now we have a pretty flexible component here where we can pass, so this is always going to be the same, like we can just control the props, but it's all part of this activity container. So when we want to use these components, these nested components, we can just call them like this. We have the owner, we have the text, and then underneath that you can provide whatever you want. So I'm even thinking what we do here is create another component inside of the container, and it's going to be called activity body. All right, so that comes in here. And this is a very simple component. And I mean, realistically, no, we don't need that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a flex box here with a margin top of 4. What are you doing, mate? And then inside that, so it's the wrong thing. We want to do this. Yeah, no, actually we do need that component, sorry. Activity body. The reason why is because if we do this, we're going to have to do it every time, and the user's going to have to remember, or the dev's going to have to remember. And we can't do it around the children because that means everything will have the margin top. So we really need to do it just in a special component. So what we'll do is just put that there, children. And then this component is called activity body. Then what we can do in the container is we'll export that the same as but you can see what we're doing here is we're just providing a very simple API basically for using this component where we export body owner text, and then you can just access those when you use this, and you only import one thing, which is a container, and then it exposes those things. So we're going to go activity body, and then you can put, as a user or as a dev, you can put whatever you want in the body. So when you use this component, you add the owner, the text, and the body, and that gives you there. So now that just needs to be fixed up because that looks like it's not doing full width. Let's just make sure the container is also full width. And make sure that's going. Let's just see what's gone on here, why we lost that. So that's full width, full width, full width, full width, full width. So why are you not full width anymore? As soon as we added that in. It might be, we need to add this here too. There we go. Just makes us fix the direction. That's it now. So now we have a very customizable component. So we can get rid of this. So this, now we get rid of this. We don't export less things, which is awesome. Import fewer things, I should say. We don't need that. All right. So that's the project refactored now so that we can use it in the post. That just means we're much easier to add new things. All right, so I'm going to close all these off so we can get a nice clean slate. So now all we need to do when we work on a new one is import our activity container. All right, and we can just grab all this stuff, paste it in here. Now we're not going to have body yet, and we don't know what this is yet. And now we need to go and fetch the post like we did here. So we need trpc. All right, we don't need that yet, but we can just keep that around. So let's go. We're going to go post query equals trpc.post. So get post by ID, use query. Thank you. And then we're going to say ID activity item dot subject ID. I even reckon we just do that here. Activity item dot subject ID. And then we could just say that. All right, because it's a very simple component when it comes in terms to props. Okay. Guess post by ID does not exist. So let's have a look at what's going on. So router, posts, what do we have? We've got create post. And what else? Get posts. Get post. So this is called get post. So that probably should be refactored realistically. Where were we using that? So here we got get post. So this will be by ID. This will be get post by ID. This will be get post by ID. This will be get post by ID. All right, so now that's much clearer. And it matches the rest of our conventions. Now we can go back to this thing. All right, so let's go. Not console log, it's const data is post, and that's post query. And now let's just see what data we're getting here. Project is not defined. Yeah, that makes sense because it's a post. And the user is just for now going to be that. So let's see. Here we go. Got our post, but we're missing a lot of stuff. So, well, how do we get the user? So similarly, we're going to go user equals post.user. Let's see what happens. There we go. So Ken Grief added again. So this was on the 12th of June of 2023 at 2:02. Now, what I want to do is add a little bit of, now that activity container, you can see that we've got activities stacked up on top of each other. Let's fix that. Because we've got a common component now, all we need to do is just hit here margin bottom. I'm going to say $4, $4, give us a little bit of space. And most people have some sort of divider. Let's go to Facebook. Go to groups. Let's just see. I mean, they're also sitting on in a box, so it's quite easy. So I think we should give something here that differentiates the post. Maybe a dotted line will go quite well. So let's try border bottom width equals 1 pixel, and then border bottom style is equal to dashed. Okay, let's see what that looks like. So we got a little thing here. What we want to do is margin bottom, but then we want to have padding bottom of 4 as well. All right. So yeah, doesn't, I think that this component must have something built into it as well. This is why we're getting, it looks like a double up here. So if we just look at the, where are you coming from? This one, yeah. So that's okay. So let's just fix that. Okay, so what we want to do, I just want to fix this up a little bit because I'm not happy. There's something, so we just need to get rid of, on the project published one, on the tile here, on the box props, we want to say margin bottom 0, because we don't want that inbuilt. There we go. So now you can see this is probably still a little bit tight. So what we could do is in our activity container, let's bump these up to 8. Like, give us some room to breathe. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's just check it at 100%. So that'll give us a nice amount of space. Okay, so we're happy with that. All right, so with the post created, we want to show different types. So there's a question, and question, the title of the post isn't that important. And then there is a normal post, like a forum post, and the title will be more important in that aspect. So, in that instance, I should say. So what I'm going to do here for this one is I'm going to create a flex. I'm going to add a border to it. And then I'm also going to say border radius, and I'm going to give that a large. So it kind of matches the project, the rounded corners. So that'll kind of look like what we got there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in some padding here of 4, right? That's annoying that it keeps jumping every time. I'm just going to give me some room here. Okay, so that stays. Sweet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get so depending on what type it is. So let's see if when we have the post, what are we getting? What data we get back? Post type ID. So we need to go and fetch this, or we need to include it. So let's see what's happening inside of our router. Get post by ID. So it includes the comments, the likes, the user. Let's include the post type as well, because I need to know if it's a question or if it's a normal post. So we can see post type key question. Okay. So inside of the post created now, we're going to do something slightly different. So when we've asked a question, we want to say a new question was asked of a project. Otherwise, we're going to say a new post was created. All right. So the post, basically the post text. So we're going to say post, or we're going to say activity text is equal to post dot post type dot key is equal to question, right? Then we're going to do something. Otherwise, we're going to do something else. So this one will be a new question was asked on, now this will be the project build. So what we're going to need to see, let's see what the title looks like in the DB. A new question about, so what we can do is we can use the title. So we're going to say a new, and then this will be post dot title. All right. So it'll say a new, and then it'll go question about 2023 Ford Ranger Next Gen. That's what this text will say. And then read more will go to the post. Let's see where that look goes to. It goes to slug questions. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head. So it goes slug questions / and then this will be post ID. Okay. So this will be activity text. Okay, and then we can now uncomment this. And just jump in. What do we have? Got a mistake here. Project.slug. So we don't know the project.slug here. So we need to get that. And that will be sitting inside of a relationship. So we need to include on the posts, we need to actually include the post projects. Okay, so in here, we're going to go post projects, include project true. And that is, so the project now will be, it'll be project equals post projects dot, the first one dot project. That's the project, all right? Link is not defined. That's what's causing the issue. All right. A new question about 1993 Toyota Hilux LN3. Read more. Boom. We'll click that. Open a new tab. What does it take us? What other colors did you consider before buying this one? Okay. So when we read more, we open up the post page, but we're going to show the post body here. This is if it's a question. So we'll have activity body, and this will be, I'm going to even call it body text just to be, and the same thing. So we can see we're using this variable multiple times. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say const is question, right? And then we can just shrink this down. So when is a question. That doesn't make sense. When is question there. And then here we're going to say when is question, same thing. We're going to say post body. Exactly, that's exactly right. And then otherwise it'll be the post title. Okay. And then in here, I'm going to put that there. I'm also going to wrap this in a text so we can control the font. Okay. And then we're going to go here. Sweet. So there we go. We've got what colors. But now what I want to do is I want to pump this up so that it looks more like this. Okay. So that's the post. So let's find that. That goes inside of projects. Where are you? Living. You are living. It's not in the edit screen. It's inside of slug. Questions, post ID. There we go. So what are we doing for the text? We're doing it like this. So we want, it's a heading at the moment. Let's just see what that looks like. We don't want to use the heading. But let's see. So if we make that a text, get rid of the H1, put the activity there, and let's just see if that looks the same. It does not. No margin top. So we need to actually bump this up because I think headings and text don't look the same. We might actually have to use the heading tag here just to get the same look. All right, EFG heading. There we go. So let's pull this window across. So you can see here, so we got a new question about the 1993 Hilux LN106, read more. And then there's the question. What other colors did you consider before buying this one? And then the user can just hit read more. And it takes us straight to the post. Excellent. Is there anything else we can do on that? I wonder if we can, let's make this thing a little bit better. We can actually say how many comments and likes if we wanted to. All right, so to continue on with this one, what we're gonna do here is if there's been a comment, we're gonna show it in here as well. So this will be the first comment. So we're gonna say, like we've done before, let's just go here. Const first comment is equal to post comments dot first, and then that will be dot comment. Okay, so let's have a look what we have. So if I'm just going to take first comment, I'm just going to paste it right here, and this will be dot body. There we go. So what we can do here is we're going to chuck a direction on this, so it runs down. Okay, and then how do we, so it normally looks like this in a little box, but what we'll do just inside the feed is we'll put it inside of a text here, and we're going to just chuck a margin top of 4. Make sure we import the text component from Chakra. And let's see, there we go. All right. So we could write, I wonder what we can do here to make this look like someone replied. I guess that's, I wonder, I mean, I can have a look at that and just see what we want to do there. We also want to add in here a flex box, and we want to have, yeah, pretty much this. It's kind of probably got it here perfectly. So we want to have likes and comments. Okay, so we're going to go on each side. On the left, we're going to have likes. On the right, we're going to have comments. And then again, we'll probably just link these, because when you want to click on the comments. So this will be, we don't need margins here. What we're going to do is we're going to set on this flex box, we're going to say justify content, and this will be space between. And we're going to also say margin top of 4 again. 1 likes, 1 comments. I'm also going to put a border top on this, width of 1 pixel. And I'm going to do that, I think we'll do that dashed as well. Border top style is dashed. Let's tidy this component up. All right. Okay, and we need a little bit of padding. 4. Cool. So now what will happen is we need to also make sure we have a first comment, and only if we have a first comment do we render this comment body. Okay, so I'm just going to cast that to a Boolean. Okay, so any question about this, and then you can read more, and then you got 1 likes. So we need to fix this. So we need to add, I'm just going to pull this down to the bottom. We're going to say comment count, const comment count is equal to post, dot post comments dot length, and then we can also have const like count. Yeah, good on you, mate. Like count. I think we might even, do we return the counts? No. We might even just, instead of doing that, we might return the actual count from here, right? So let's do include count, and we're going to select post comments and also post likes. And that way we can just have the straight count. Definitely going to be optimizations needed here in the future, because we don't want to load every single comment and like when we get a post by ID. But for now, I'm going to leave it. But definitely something we'll look at in the future. So let's look at what the new object looks like. So it goes count, and then post likes, post comments. So comment count will be post count, and then it'll be post comments, and here will be count, and this will be post likes. Okay, so now down the bottom here we can say like count, and we've got to do our old pluralization. Like count is equal to 1. It's going to be like, otherwise likes. I'm going to do the same thing, comment count, and then it's going to be comment. 0 likes, 1 comment. When you click on that, we want to take you to the URL. So I'm going to pull this out, and this will be now const post URL is that. Bang that in there. And then inside of here, we're going to have post URL as well. So you click on that, it's going to take you into the post itself. Cool. New question. What are the colors that you consider? I also looked at blue and red. Now, what we need to do is we need to create another question. Let's do another question on a different build and see what happens. So go to my 4x4, go into the Raptor, and we're going to ask a question here. When did you order yours, and how long did it take to arrive? Send that. Let's see if we got the activity. Here we go. When did you order yours and how long? 0 likes, 0 comments, and there's no reply, so that doesn't have it in there. And this one has a reply, so it's just like that. So that's looking really cool. Pretty happy with that one. So that is styling the activity feed. So for now, we're going to be able to have activity for posts and activity for project publishing. What we're going to do now, I think we'll work on the project image. So when someone adds the project image. So to start that one, we will create a new component, and this will be project image created. Okay, I'm going to create a new index.tsx. I'm going to set up a new component. Projects image created. All right. So when will this be triggered, and how will we build this activity? So we want to create this activity when a user uploads a photo, but only to a build that has been published. Because in the beginning, when you're setting up your build and you're adding 10 images, we don't want to be notified every time that happens. This will be more for your build has been updated, or sorry, created and published. You come along later, you've added a new photo. So this is interesting. So we want to know about that. So inside of the router, we've got the project images, and here's the create projects image. Okay. So at the moment, you can see this is a transaction. Creates the project image and the project. And it needs to create both of these. Sorry, it does the update on the project and also creates the project image. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say const result equals await. And then we're going to return the result here. And now what I want to do is I just want to log out the result and actually see what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to go in here now. And if we go into this project, I will see if we can find another photo for this Hilux. So here's a cool shot. Sweet. Just make sure that's the same car. It sure is. So what we're going to do now is in here we're going to edit the build. And what we want to do is we want to see what happens when we upload a photo. So we have that one, so we're going to use this one. So we upload this. Okay, so you can see a result. And our result is an array. So because we've used a transaction, Prism is returning both objects that were created. So this is the project's image, and this is the published project, or the updated project. So we can basically say, when we destructure this, we can say project's image is the first one, and the second one is the project. It's the order of these two, okay? And that's the result. So we can now destructure that. So now what we can do is we can grab this create activity item method, and we're going to use that in here. So we're going to grab the create activity, and then once this project's image is created, let's find it, we can now create activity. Okay, so this will be, if we jump into our activity, it'll be projects images created will be the key or the event type, the user ID that did it, and this should be a create projects image. Realistically, you should be logged in here at this stage. So I'm going to change it to a private procedure. Protected procedure. So now you can only create a project image when you are logged in, which makes sense. Now, let's just save this. Let's see what's going on. There we go. So the subject of this is a project's image. Okay, and this is, the model is project's image. So we can jump into Prisma to just verify that. So project's image is the model, okay? So we just need to make sure that that matches project's image. We're passing through the ID of the project's image through. All right, so we're not actually using the project, so we can just leave that there. And now we will create the activity. So now what we can do is we can jump back in here. I'm just going to jump into this image and delete it. And now I'm going to upload a new image, or the same image again. Okay, so we'll put that in there. Sweet. So that image is uploaded. Now we expect to see in the activities a new activity. And then you can see it, project's image created. Now when we jump back into our activity feed, we should see that post. So we need to just set up the component that renders it. So let's go to our activity item. All right, so we need to make sure that we have this activity key available. So it's projects images created. Let's just double check that in the DB. So it's this. All right, and then it's looking for the project image created component, which comes from here. Okay. Right, so now what we can do, we can grab our activity container and our activity item here, and we need TRPC as well. So we'll grab all those things and we will get this. We're going to get passed in an activity item, and that's going to go here. And then we don't need the project tile. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to let's just write here, image created. All right, so you can see there's the component looking super cool. So we're going to grab this code, pump that in there. Okay, so now you can see there's a few things that we are missing. So what are we going to say for the text? We're going to say a new image was added to project title. Perfect. That's exactly right. And then read more. This will be project/slug/images. And we can even do the image ID here. Okay, so that's actually be projects image.id. And that will take us to the images page. But we need to fetch the data now. So we need to get project's image by ID. So we've already got this method. Okay, so that's really good. So let's fetch it. So it's going to be const projects image query equals trpc.projects images.get projects image by ID.use query. And then we're going to say ID is equal to activity item dot subject ID. All right, and then we're going to have const data, and this is going to be projects image, and that's going to be project image query. So then let's just go console log projects image, and let's see what we got. So here we go, got our projects image. So we can see the image, and then there's no user ID here. So we just need to find our user because we do need to know who did it. But we've got the image component here, and we've got the ID of the project's image. So realistically, we also want to fetch the project that it was for. Right, so what we're going to do is just quickly here, we're going to include project true. Now, what I want to see is in Prisma, where do we store? I think it's probably going to be a problem in here when we create the project image. We're probably not setting who's actually done it. So let's just see what we have in the DB. So project images, so that doesn't say anything. So on the image itself, we have a user ID. All right, so that's the user who created that image. So what we've got to do is when we create an image, we want to set the user to context.session.userid. Okay, so now that when we create that image, we should get the user. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that image. All right, so it's this one. Oh, we need to be in the edit screen. So it's this one. We're going to delete that image. All right. Now, what I want to see as well is if we delete that image, we still got the activity there. So we're going to need to have some way of clearing this activity when the subject is deleted. Okay. So we're going to have to create a delete method. So let's just do that now. So that will be in delete project image by ID. So let's open that up. We'll wait it, async. And then here we have to delete. Okay, so we've got the create activity item. But what we can just do here is await prisma.activity.delete many. And then what we're going to look for is subject ID is the input ID. This is context.prisma. And then the subject type is project's image. So we're basically going to loop through the database, and any activity item for that project's image will be cleared out. Because once we delete the image, there's no point showing that activity in the activity feed anymore, because it doesn't exist. Okay? So let's try. So we need to actually just manually delete that one for now, because we didn't have the logic. So let's just go in here. So let's just delete that record. Okay, now it should clear away. Yep. All right. So what I'll do now is let's upload a new picture. All right, boom. Now we should see the activity appear again here. There we go. I'm just going to write it there so that you can actually see I'm not talking nonsense. Okay, so it's there. Now what we expect is if we go in here and we hit delete on this guy, we should see this disappear. Nope, it didn't work. Why did you not work? Was there delete called in here? So I wonder if that's calling is that calling the delete method, or is that calling the project's image method? Delete project's image by ID. So it actually doesn't get called. You can see that there. So that never gets called. So that's unfortunate. So it looks like we're calling the delete image method in that thing there. So we're going to have to look at that a little bit further. Because that's actually hitting images, delete image by ID. So, I mean, we should probably just fix that. So we'll create this here. Again, turning this into an async method. Await async here. And then what we want to do is return the result. Now, what do we want to do? So we want to await delete the activity for this image. So this would like really be an all query, because we need to delete all images and basically everywhere where an image can be joined. So let's see what that looks like. So where or, right, so any of these conditions. And let's just see if we've done an or somewhere else. So the only place is here. So the first thing is where subject ID is input ID and subject type is image. So that's the first place. So wherever there's activity stored just purely based on that image, we will delete that. Then what we're going to say is where, how do we do this one? So I wonder if we can even do this one. Projects image. image. Let's see what relations we have on the image model in Prisma. Yeah. Projects images. I wonder if this is possible. Where are your images? Activity item where input. Yeah, okay. So that's, I wonder if we can say where. Yeah, this is an interesting one. So what we might have to do here actually is we need to find projects image. So we're going to have to find const projects images equal to context.prisma.projects image.find many. And then what we're going to have to do is where, and then this will be image ID. Right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find all the project's images where this image ID is set. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop through activities where each and delete where any of those are valid. So it's basically we need to set up here. So the OR query will look like const or what do we call this? Or equals. Yeah, you kind of you're getting what I'm saying here. So subject ID is equal to PID. Subject type is project. All right, so project images. It's a promise, so we need to await that. And this is a project's image. Projects images. Subjects. So what we're doing is, what is this saying? Any type. No, that's a project images. Why is that an any? That's strange. So project images subjects. So I'm basically finding wherever this image was linked to a project's image, we want to find all of those. Then we're going to create and spread that into the OR. So we're going to find like that. How was it used before? That doesn't make sense. Block scoped project images is used before its declaration. Anyway, something's not right here. I think that's what it is. Okay, cool. So we set up that object and we're going to merge it into the array here. So this will output an array, and we'll merge them in. And that should be able to delete now. So let's see. I have to again delete that one manually. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add an image. Might even grab another one if we can. Do we have another image? It's a lot of the same. I'll just use obviously a wrong image. This would be a good example. So let's upload that one. Now we should have two image activities. Now, if we just go in here and we're like, no, this is the wrong one. It's still not working. Okay. Let's see what our delete says. Hasn't even run. All right, so I'm probably doing something wrong. So yeah, let's see why that's not working. Delete many. So I'm just going to do a little sanity check here. Let's delete this one. So deletes the image. But look, that's nothing. So we have to see why that is. Find many where image ID is the input.id. Okay, so you can see here's the query. Project images. All right, so that's interesting. Okay, I think I understand what's happened here. We need to collect these before we delete the image. Because I think what's happening is this cascades down and we'll just clear out the project's images automatically. So let's see if this helps by moving this up. Okay, so we still got those two. Let's try again. So let's delete that. Delete that. Let's upload 2 photos. Two images, awesome. 2 created. Let's get rid of this one. Now let's see what happens. There we go. So now we can see we've got that. Now we've only got one activity. One activity, so that worked. Perfect. So now we can test again. If we go in here, delete this image. Deleted. Good. That's it. All right. So we solved that problem. That was fun. Cool. So let's chuck this guy back in because we want to create an activity for him. Now we've got it there. Awesome. Now we also have to check that the image that's just been created, so the 16th. Now do we have a user ID on that? Yes, we do. There's a user. Cool. So now when we fetch this guy, so I can get rid of this, we can go and say project image. When we fetch a project image, here we go. Where is it? Get project image by ID. We want to include the user. What are you saying? Oh, yeah, we got to do include. Sweet. All right, now if we go jump back in here, when we get this, that's a post created project image here. We've got the image, we've got the user. Awesome, so we've got our user. We are in business. So we can now say const user is equal to project image dot user. All right, so that's our user. And then when was this thing created? That would be the project's, whoops, where, okay, we need to uncomment all of that at once, get rid of this, and we'll just keep working through one at a time. So this, And this will be project's image dot created at, and the user will be user. And what are you saying? Undefined or null? We also need the user's image, so we need that whole spiel. So this is so post. Let's look for where we grab the user. So we need this, all of this. Okay, so that's to get the user image. Now that should hopefully go away. What are you saying? Or undefined. Sweet. There we go. We've got Ken Grief at 1:30 p.m. Awesome. So now let's move on to the text. So new image was added to project title. Again, let's go back here. Be including the project. So that's cool. So we can say const project equals project's image dot project. All right, we need the link component. All right, let's see what we have. A new image was added to 1993 Hilux. Let's see, read more. Let's see where that takes us. Boom. Straight to the photo. That's cool. All right, so what are we going to show in the feed? Realistically, we're probably just going to show a big photo. So we need to show in the body. So we'll open this up. And here we want to do the image. Right, so that'll be an image. Now we need to use the image. So inside of image thumb, we need to get the use image URL. Okay, which comes from this hook. Okay, and then so the image will be project's image.image. Okay. Now we might not have that, and we might not have that. Image URL. The width and the height. So for now, let's just get it at that size and just see what we have. Do we have an image URL? There we go. We've got one. Awesome. So what does that look like in a feed? Let's look at the image. It's not a thumb. We'll look at the page where we actually have the main image. So it's the preview image here. Components image preview. So I might grab that component and just chuck it in and see what it looks like. So it needs that. So let's put that in there. Image, projects image. There we go. So a new image was added. Boom. Let's just have a look at that component and see what it's doing. Cool, so that's scaling the image and everything. So this is exactly what we want. It's got a tag container as well, which we want to disable. So I'm going to add a new prop here. Yeah, enable tagging. Maybe we can even look where this is being used. So this is inside of, so here we want to enable tagging false. When you're editing, you want to enable tagging. Okay, so let's do the next one. This is for when we add a project part. So let's open up our projects.published. Let's find where that's used. So we can just grab the exact key that we're after. So this is a project manufacturer parts.created. All right, so I'm gonna just grab that and put that in here. And for now, it's null. It's technically undefined. All right, so that's gonna be the component to TBC. I wanna see why this isn't working. Project published. What's going on? Anyway, I digress. So what we want to do now, so this is in TRPC, router, when we add a project part. So that is projects part, get projects parts, get count, get ID, get similar, get tagged, create project parts. All right, so this is what happens when we create. So we're going to turn this into an async, as we always do. And then we are going to await. So this will be const result equals await. And again, we're using a transaction. So let's just see what is going on here. So we're going to return result. Now here we're going to create the activity. And this is going to be similar because this is join table. We're going to have to see what are we deleting when we add or delete a part. So let's see, we've got a delete part here. So this will need to be delete the activity. It'll be a similar concept. So let's just do the create first. So we're going to go into here. Let's get the create activity item. Chuck that in. We're going to grab this. Okay. Where are you? Here. All right. Now, so when we create we need the context user ID. And this also needs to become a protected procedure. You can only add a part when you're logged in. So that now becomes protected. Then we need our user. So do we have on, let's just check inside the DB what we have when we create a projects manufacturer part. Don't have that there. Do we have manufacturer parts? We don't have the user ID there either. So what can we do here? Manufacturer parts. So what we want to do realistically is on this join here, we want to have the user who did it, who actioned this. So in Prisma, I'm going to go project, projects, where are you? Or is it projects part? Projects part. We want to add in here the user. Projects part. All right, what are you saying? There we go. So now we have a user. Now if we jump onto the user table, user has many projects parts. Okay, let's see if we can run that. This also needs to be, let's jump onto the part. The user is optional because we have a lot of the builds that don't have, or parts that don't have this. So let's run npm run migrate. And it should be able to run, yep, npm run dev. So now when we look at this, we've got a user ID column. Awesome. All right. So now what we do is when we create a part, the project's part, we're going to have data here. And here we're going to have user is connect. And it's going to be ID is that, yeah. What do we normally do here? It's ID or All right. Where are you? Unauthenticated is what we use there. Okay. Cool. So now when we create a part, we're going to tar the user because we need that when we create the activity. All right. So the owner of the activity is there. Now, what we can do is the subject now is going to be the projects part. So that'll be, we can destructure that. So it's the projects part from the result. Okay. And then this is going to be projects part. And we double check that in Prisma. Projects part, it's the model. Okay. So now we have the activity item on creation. Now, for deletion of the projects part, we need to do the same thing, the reversal. So bump that in, bump const. We have to await this. All right, and then we need to delete activity. So remembering, we're going to await context of Prisma to delete many. Yep. And we want to delete where. Subject ID is the input ID, and then the subject type is equal to projects part. And that's the deletion of that activity. So let's give this a spin. Let's see how this looks. So where are we editing? We're editing this Ranger Raptor. Let's add something. So red arc. What do we have in red arc? Solar panel. Why not? And that's all good. So now what I'm going to do is let's clean this up. Clean up. All right. Yep. Just busy loading all the pages. All right. Let's go. All right. So in here, we're going to add red arc, solar panel, and we're going to hit save. All right. Now we've added our solar panel. Then inside of our activity items, we haven't seen that yet. But what I could see is in here, there is an insert. This is interesting that we haven't seen that happen. I wonder if am I using the right key? Nope. So I'm using the wrong key here. Project parts. And it's actually project. All right, so that was a mistake. Delete the part. Let's add it again. Red arc, solar, save. That all still works. There, project. Manufacture parts created, projects parts, perfect. Now let's just do our sanity check. Maybe we'll let's just delete it. Done, gone. Perfect. That's exactly what we want. All right, so that's looking real good. So we got the backwards and the forwards. All right, so let's go and implement this view. So we don't have it yet, so it's not showing anything. So I'm just going to close all these down. Hopefully I just didn't do a typo then. Felt like I did. Anyway, we will find that later. So in here, we're going to have now the component is new projects part created. index.tsx. Let's grab the image one, which we've just done. Kill that, we don't need it anymore. We do need to actually, before we continue, oh, the preview doesn't even use anything. Sweet. So we don't even need that because our preview's taken care of that. Get rid of this. That's a handy little component. So let's grab all this, put it into the projects part. So this is now projects part created. Not going to have this preview. Might have that box. I'm going to leave that out. Okay, so what do we need here? So now we need the projects parts, and this is get projects part by ID, and then we're going to get the ID. Perfect. And wherever I'm using this, I'm just going to update this to projects part. I'm just going to say here, let's see what data we get. All right. Projects part, where are you? Okay, I know what's wrong. We need to actually get this component. We've got it listed here. It's currently undefined. There we go. There we go. We got it. All right, so projects part, what do we have inside there? We have the manufacturer part. We have the manufacturer. What we need is the project as well. So let's get that. Close that out. Close that out. We need to go into TRPC. We need to go to projects parts, and then when we get the part by ID, get projects part by ID here. So what we need to do is include the project true. So that's going to give us the project. We also want to include the user true, and then we need to do our full user grab where we grab our image. So this one, it's almost worth turning this into some sort of little helper. So there we go. So now what we have, if we close that down, projects part, we should have our user. So our user is going to be projects part dot user. There we go, got our user. And now what we can say in here, project will be projects part project, which is also right. So if we now go, a new part was added to project title. And now we want to say there. So what we're going to go to is the link that we want to follow is slug slash parts slash, and I believe that's a project's part ID. So it's going to be parts, and it'll be project parts ID. Let's see what that does. So if we open that in a new tab, there we go, takes you straight to it. That's awesome. Now, what are we going to do here? So we are going to create border radius. We also need a border width. This is going to be very similar to our post. So it's this guy, border radius XL. Don't need this. Okay, that looks awesome. Not even. So we need to go into the project, and then it's project parts, And then it's the category group is what we're looking for. So it's all of this. It's pretty much all of this. So I'll chuck that in there. Now we have to just see what's missing. So we're not having that. We're not having an href text. We need to import. I might even turn this into a component, just in case we ever need to use this again. I feel like we would. So let me undo that. And I'll grab this. Paste that. Now let's just grab what we need. So we need the part icon. Okay. So don't need that, don't need that. We need the category. That goes there. This one we're going to skip for now. So let's see. Okay, so we set this up. So what we're going to do is just quickly render this component. Okay, we're looking like we're getting somewhere. That's what we want. So when we get the projects part, we need to make sure we're getting the category. So I think that's, yeah, manufacturer part category. So const category is equal to projects part dot manufacturer part dot category. So we can pass that in. Electronics, we're on our way. Now, the next piece of it is the part itself. So we need to look at this piece. What does this look like? So I wonder if we can just grab this thing, href last and manufacturer part. Yeah, sweet. So I reckon we can actually just grab this. What we're going to do is we're going to go import part from components. So it's product, says part, is category, part. Let's see if we can do this. So that. So last is yes. Key we don't need. It's not edit mode. Manufacturer part. I'm going to pass in an href and I'm going to pass in a manufacturer part. So manufacturer part. You know what? I'm going to just pass in projects part here. Don't need those two. So it'd be projects part dot manufacturer part. And this is going to be projects part dot ID. and this will be projectspart.project.slug. What are we complaining about here? Title, manufacturer part.title. Where are you? Okay. So we need to basically say, we only want to render this if this is loaded. So I guess with all of these, we want to say if no projects part, return null. Manufacturer part, okay. We do include that for sure. Just going to do that for now. So something's not right here. So we need to just see what's coming in. We're not passing that in. Manufacturer projects part. Dot manufacturer part. Maybe we're not. We're not passing that in here. Does that make sense? Sweet. There we are. Let's fix up this guy. Is the href correct? Yep, perfect. So let's just fix up this padding that's going on in here. So what do we have? Margin Y, we'll get rid of, so we can get ourselves back to baseline. And then what we're going to just do is actually take this and wrap this whole thing like that. And we get rid of it now on this side. Okay, and let's give some padding to this guy. Now we need to just make this 100% because that doesn't look right. There we go. Ken Grief, a new part was added to 2023 for Ranger Next Gen. That takes you to the parts. And away we go. So that's it. So we've now done our activity feed. You can now see when a new question was asked. You can see when an image was added. You can see when a new build was created. And you can see when a new part was added. So it just makes this way more exciting. Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Catch you on the next one.